Ask Reddit by Altruistic at 1010. What clothing trend from the past makes you laugh the hardest knowing people actually wore it? The ridiculous amount of polo shirts layered on top of each other for the final boss of popped collars. There was a pale redhead at my high school who did this with green and pastel pink. It made his skin look so splotchy. Late medieval codpieces are highly amusing. Once I had a dream that codpieces came back, but the trend was to have an ornament dangling from the front of it anglerfish style. Mine was a strawberry. I was playing soccer with Ice Cube and his had a disco ball. The weird crisscross moment. Backwards jeans look so uncomfortable. I just assumed that was a joke for publicity. I never actually saw anyone wearing their clothes backwards during that time, though I wouldn't be surprised if some dunderheads actually did it. Don't mind me. I'm only here to torture myself like that video where high schoolers had a 2000s day and someone commented that's what 1980s day was to us. I'm so old we used to have 50s days at our schools. But at least the 50s fashions were cute. Poodle skirts and sweater sets, cigarette pants and tight blouses, ponytails and red lipstick. Neck ruffs. Doing the washing for that must have driven laundresses to tears of absolute rage. It's not the washing them, it's the starching and setting them. Medieval Pauline shoes, that is soft leather shoes with long pointy tips worn by men. They became so extreme in some cases it was extremely silly. They are all the rage right now in Mexico if you're into ranchero style clothing, Mexican cowboy aesthetic with long pointy shoes. There was a hot minute in the 90s where everyone wore vests made of upholstery fabric. With silk button-down shirts. Powdered wigs take the cake. Imagine stepping out in a giant, flour-dusted noodle nest every day just to say, yes, I am indeed very fancy. I think they powdered them because they smelled so bad. I did a costume history course in college. Although lots of modern fashion is pretty stupid, it really has nothing on the medieval fashion. I can't say that 3 were the most absurd, because I wasn't a very good student. But 40 years later I remember 3 fashion trends. The codpiece, that, over the course of a century of development got increasingly larger until 3 were like 10 in long protuberances. The shoe trend that got increasingly narrower and longer, and so wealthy women started getting their little toes amputated so could be in fashion. But my all-time favorite was after the French Revolution women were wearing togas, to hark back to the Roman Empire. But the accepted style was for the togas was to cling to the woman's bodies, so they would have their maids spray them with a mist of water. It was a particularly bitterly cold winter that year, and so a whole lot of upper class women caught pneumonia and died as a result of this short-lived French fashion trend. Shutter shades. https://upload.wikimedia.org/commons/c/woman-wearing-shutter-shades.jpg close bracket dart. Cause realistically, who could see out of these things? Your eyes fill in the blanks so you can see pretty well. I wouldn't read or drive in them though. Source, was in college in 2009. In the 90s, the tracksuit with buttons up the sides, rips we called them, some would wear them with nearly all the buttons open. Amazing style that was. In Austria we call those Schnellfickerhosen, lit something like fast fucker pants or speed fucker pants. The jeans underskirts trend of the early zeros. I knew it was bad when it was happening, and I was correct. Ugh. That was so stupid. I also absolutely despise the zeros trend of wide leg capris with knee-high boots. I saw that so much at work, corporate office. Air pirates everywhere. Future me is shouting Crocs. Current me is shouting Crocs. Back in the 80s women wore shoulder pads. Watch some old episodes of Dynasty and you'll see what I mean. Lol. I went to a Southern Baptist church growing up in the 80s and early 90s. Every Sunday was like attending an isosceles triangle convention, but with enormous, colorful, floppy hats. In the summer months, the men would bust out white linen suits and the whole pastiche of the congregation would burn out your retinas from the bright colors. I remember in the late 80s when girls were tucking their socks into their jeans, and the guys were folding the cuff of their jeans and rolling them. Very chic. Where I grew up, all the young people cuffed and rolled regardless of gender. Toe socks from the 1970s. They had a brief resurgence in the early zeros. Those rubber plastic transparent sparkly sandals from 2000s that made your feet sweat and slip really bad and gave you multiple blisters. Happy they are gone. Jelly sandals, just saw a kid at the park wearing some the other day. Apparently they are back. When people sag their pants. It looks awful and comical to see a grown man walking funny cause he's trying to look cool sagging his pants. I don't understand how this one never went away. They just keep getting lower. There was a trend in the 90s, South. I'm not sure it was widespread, where women wore these ridiculous one-piece jumpsuits with huge square collars with lace. I can't imagine that. Can you link an example? Leisure suits from 70s. Polyester at its worst. The pointy boob bras. I don't understand why that was a thing. Computers weren't advanced enough yet to render complex rounded surfaces in real time, so boobs all tended to be pointy. Big JNCO jeans are tied with bell-bottom pants. Those are both back in style though. My daughter is 13 and those types of pants and cargo pants are what they're all wearing now. Oh my god. The shoulder pad era. I'd rip those fuckers out. Whale tells the ultra low-rise jeans with a triangle strip of fabric of their thong sticking out the back. Usually they were colorful or had rhinestones. Not clothing but the snooky poof in the early 2000s. I was one of the victims.